Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, just thanks for. Sorry, we're doing it so early today. Hopefully, word got out there. I'm going to tweet out to people too now.
Yeah, for a second there, I thought that hat said LBJ. I thought you were a big LeBron James fan, but it says LBK.
Yeah. Well, that's funny because we were talking about LeBron James the other night at our Stanley Cup pregame meal. I was with Russ. So we should explain how this works. So like when you're in the media, it's pretty funny. So there's a you're normally during the year their teams will have little pregame meals and they're okay. They're not great. They're fine. They're serviceable. You pay like $10 and you get whatever you want, And how's the food in Toronto, Mike? Is it pretty good before the games or?
It's not bad, but me being on a budget and traveling so much, I usually wait for the free pizza. They have free pizza at a certain instances.
Oh, really?
And the dinner is good, but I think it's $12 Canadian, which equals out to $10 American.
Yeah.
And I got it occasionally, but it's pretty good.
Yeah. So but what teams do, they do step it up for the finals. And I've been in Boston once. They had lobster actually for the final.
Oh, wow.
And you're paying like $10. I think 15 times, but it's no big deal. So usually you do them. I happen to find that there was a Chick-fil-A. There's Chick-fil-A's in the concourse of the arena in Washington, and I'm like a huge Chick-fil-A fan, so I just did that. But
never had Chick-fil-A.
Russ and others were in the media meal, so I went down there and I sat with them in the media meal, not eating but sitting with them. So we're sitting there, and Russ, tell us what happened next. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. So and here's the thing. I'm even going to go one step further because this meal was great. It had
really outstanding
soup, crab cakes. It had spectacular desserts. It had fingerling potatoes. Like if you paid for this as a regular meal, it would probably be like $30.
Easily over, and easily better than $10. Like
actually, and I wrote about this on my website, Sportsology, because Ted Leontis is such a good owner that people really want to work for him. One of the cooks, workers, was saying to me, "Hey, how is this food?" And I said, "It's good." And he goes, "I want a review for you. I'm going to come back, and I want you to tell me how it is." I said, "I could stop you right there. This is my second trip through. This is really good food. This is excellent food." And he goes, "Well, we pride ourselves on like being a 4-star food service."
Wow, really good. Yeah, I'll totally agree.
So that's the setup.
Yeah.
So ESPN walks in and they've got like 7 paper bags that you would normally see in like a Chinese takeout place.
More than that, like I would say, like the kind of thing that you would be handed if you were staying at a hotel, like for a wedding reception.
Yes.
Like big tall bags, and now by ESPN we mean like like who
Steve Levy, Barry Melrose.
So these are like the people that work. Mainly Levy is the funniest thing. All right, so they walk in.
The entire ESPN hockey department, 3 people.
So I did some reconnaissance, right? I did a walk by because I was curious. Like maybe they're bringing in Chinese food, and okay, they don't have Chinese food here, but like I saw that one of them was eating spaghetti and meatballs, and I was like, really? You're gonna pass up like great crab cakes, like really 4-star crab cakes and crab soup for spaghetti and meatballs?
And this is this is not the first night. Understand, this is like it's not like they were worried there wouldn't be a good meal there. The first game, like I can see that. You got the first game, you're like, okay, there might not be good food here. Because these guys, they probably have like riders and stuff like that. I need to have whatever beforehand there.
I'm not the most daring eater, and I've never, and not because you can't get good crab cakes in Buffalo. At least I don't, not that I know of. But I've always wanted to try them, and if I was there, I would have dined out on the crab cakes and the potatoes. I would have gone crazy.
It was amazing. So
this is like Mama Ojello invites me over for dinner, and I bring my own food
and put it on the table, like because this is
on the table.
She'd like slap you across the face and say, "Get out!"
Exactly.
There are 2 areas. There's a partitioned area of this so you have to like walk through a door to get into this. So it's not like you're not talking about like there's the media. There's all over there. There's all the media tables where people are working, and then all this is happening inside the. And they did this in Toronto for the World Cup of Hockey too, where they go where the basketball team practices and they make it a big This is all inside inside that. So this is bigger than normal they would have there because they have so many media people. But for the NHL Stanley Cup Finals, you got hundreds of people there, so they've got big things, and then the proportion, and then like a sectioned off area for eating. Right, so they with round tables like you would see at a wedding. So we go. So they've walked in past the people you pay with their big bags of food and put them on the table. And really, when I was there, it was just basically Steve Levy eating from hundreds of little, like looking like the feeling of like that you get when you order too much takeout Chinese, like that kind of thing. Like, all right, we've ordered too much food.
Too much mushu.
It was just fun, and their food was so good. So like Russ and I were like, wouldn't it be awesome if we just like went over to the table with a $20 bill, put it on the table, and just picked up one of the bags and walked away.
Right.
Like I'm like, I'm like challenging. Like this is when I wish like we had like like Tom Laidlaw who's gonna be writing for us now and doing some stuff for us. This is where you want a guy like that who would just do that and have fun with it.
Laidlaw would do it.
Yeah, he would totally do it. I was like, neither of us. You don't want to be disrespectful, and it was just funny because it just was awkward. But this is how this stuff works. Anyway, I think it was.
Should we mention that, Russ, or no?
Nah.
Oh, okay. All right. We just shared something. Shared a commonality from
hot food take.
Yeah, but okay. We'll say that for some.
We've legendarily talked about food before at games, and how the Devils, give us nothing but the onion dip and.
And actually, Eric still had the pictures, and Sheng Pang wanted to actually see the pictures, and when I saw the pictures. It was so reminiscent of like a bygone era where like we were pulling drinks out of a garbage can and there was like, pretzels and potato chips. And it was funny, man.
Oh yeah. My memory of that was like the onion dip just rotting away as we go into the second overtime of a game. And
curdling.
Now to peel back what was going on in the Washington press box, you had popcorn, you had red M&Ms, you had Jolly Rancher candy, you had like a party mix with like pretzels and stuff. You had like, and at least 2 or 3 other things that I passed by.
Yeah, they had good stuff in the press box actually. I mean, but none of this compares to like I think it's Buffalo that brings out desserts and stuff like that. And
oh yeah, well, Boston does too. Buffalo has gotten much better in terms of the variety. They like this year they brought out like carrot cake and a different thing, brownies and things of that nature. I have to say though, and I don't think they'll be upset about this in Toronto. The tradition in Toronto is the first period ice cream sandwich. They load up the freezer there with Oreo cookie ice cream sandwiches and cones. And now the thing is, though, the Toronto press box is so packed almost every night, even during the regular season, that it's a race after the buzzer to get to the ice cream before it's gone. And believe me,
before the end of the intermission, right? They're heading over.
Well, yeah, some people are, but most people wait until after the buzzer. And thankfully, I thank the Toronto Maple Leafs PR staff. My seat for the year was right near the ice cream, so I got it every year except the final game of the season, and I was so pissed off that I couldn't maintain my streak.
Well, here's the thing. Just one last Toronto connection because I thought this was worthy. I saw Mike Zeisberger there, and he's a big man, and he sees me, and he wants to do the 70s bro shake, with the thumb, and he does, right? And we made a noise in the media room, like it was almost like we were like locking in for arm wrestling, like for Over the Top.
No, I know what it was. It was the greeting between Carl Weathers and Schwarzenegger and Predator. They grab each other and it's like they're both flexing muscles.
Yeah, this was after the game and like with maybe 2 minutes to go in the game, we're getting ready to go into the locker room, and you could hear it, and I was like, "This is a big man."
Well, there was a picture. I can't remember who posted it, and I retweeted it. A picture of Mike Zeisberger standing behind all the draftees, all the that were in Washington for Game 3, and I says, I think Zeisberger's getting picked overall. Look at the height advantage because he was standing behind them.
Giant, total giant. I know. It's funny. I usually like to have dinner with those kind of guys like Steve Simmons and Zeisberger, who like.
I saw Simmons. We chatted briefly.
Yeah, like the night before, in Game 1, it was Kevin, Allen, Zeisberger, Simmons, and I, and it's funny to hear because they are definitely the epitome of the jaded hockey journalists, the cranky old hockey writers, as I like to call them, who are just really,
what I aspire to be.
Yeah, no, you actually you're there, Mike. You don't have to,
Yeah, I think you're there. Don't say so sure.
absolutely. You've definitely already achieved that, cranky old hockey writer.
Well,
So,
be old at least.
Started. All right.
Well, let's start the show. Peter will be joining us in a little bit.
Okay.
Who's going to join us?
Peter.
Really? Okay, good, cool, good job. All right, here we go. 1 second, let me take a drink for it. One thing about doing a show outside is if you don't have any allergies at all.
Oh yeah.
That's why I don't go outside much. Allergies kill me.
Yeah, it's really bad out here. All right. Oh, by the way, I got a comment about this the other day too. That I wear this shirt a lot. This is the if you ever watch the show Parks and Rec, it's one of my.
I know of it. I haven't watched it very much. I'll be honest.
Yeah, it's one of my top 3 all time favorite shows. It's hilarious, so well written, so well put together.
Wait. So you're saying that you like it better than Seinfeld? Is that what you're saying?
I will put it definitely in that world. Wow. It's close. I mean, it's really that good, and I did not think.
Better than The Office? Are you saying it's better than The Office?
It's better than The Office, yes. And I love The Office. No, you just have to. And I'll tell you that I felt like it wasn't that way. And so someone told me one time to start season 2 at the it's like Bill Puckstuck or whatever.
You told me about that, and I did, and I watched it. I'm like, okay, this episode's good, but like I've almost sworn completely off half-hour comedies. I haven't watched I didn't watch The Office. I didn't watch Parks and Rec.
Not watch The Office. Just watch it on Netflix all the way through.
The Office is amazing. The Office is amazing. I mean, and there's no question about it. Seinfeld is legendary. I mean,
Seinfeld still holds up too.
30 Rock was pretty good for a while.
I'll tell you what doesn't hold up anymore, MASH.
30 Rock doesn't hold up very well.
No, and MASH doesn't hold up very well either.
No, you just accept it for
what fire bad jokes. Like they should have let Alan Alda act a little, but they never really did.
Yeah, no,
it was a comedy.
You remember it very differently. I tried to
very differently though, Mike. It really is interesting.
My kids, they saw Henry Winkler on something, and I was like, oh, that's the Fonz, and they're like, what? Who's the Fonz? I'm like, oh, come on, guys, you got to at least see it. So I showed him a couple.
What's jump the shark mean?
I know. That's what I explained it to him, and I said, which so there's probably a lot of people out there don't know what it means, but
you should show them. If they may not like Happy Days because it was a little like from the era and slapstickish, you should show them Lords of Flatbush. He's still the same guy, but it's a really good movie.
Yeah, okay. Because I mean, the thing about it is this: like, Happy Days was a movie. It was made in the 70s about the 50s.
Yeah,
Happy Days, remember, was made in the 70s about the 50s.
Yes.
So that's it.
And it was basically a ripoff on American Graffiti, which starred Ron Howard. So there you go.
Right. Like the Goldbergs.
Harrison Ford was in that for 12 seconds.
Yeah. So we're talking about the Goldbergs was made in the 2000s, about the 80s.
Yes.
It's very funny how so when you're going back. Now you're looking at Happy Days is like 60, 70, 80 years ago, whatever it is. So it's kind of crazy. So it definitely does not hold up at all. But I tried to show the kids, and they just didn't get it.
That's why Lords of Flatbush they might like as a period movie. I think they could deal with that.
Yeah, I really need to see Perry King.
All right, let's go. This is good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Parks and Rec. You gotta watch Parks and Rec. I'm telling you. You'll thank me later. Give it time, Mike. Give it time. You got to give it like 4 or 5 episodes.
Hello, Hockey World.
Hello, Hockey World. It's Tuesday. Is it only Tuesday?
Wednesday.
Thank you. Thank God. I'm like, thank God it's Wednesday. All right. Hello, Hockey World. It's Wednesday, June 6th, 2018.
I'm Michael Ocello, and today is the 74th anniversary of the invasion of Europe, also known as D-Day.
D-Day, wow.
I'm Russ Cohen. Way to bring down the show, Mike.
Excuse me for bringing down the show with history.
And I'm Mac Lind, and you're watching HockeyBuzzcast on HockeyBuzz.com. And I just realized this is my buddy's birthday. I got to call him. You're watching HockeyBuzzcast on HockeyBuzz.com.
Is your buddy's name Buddy?
No. Just a good friend of mine. My guitar player for my band. Would be 52 today, I guess. You're watching HockeyBuzzcast on HockeyBuzz.com. This is the podcast that comes every Monday through Friday at this time, or no, it's just say daily. And today we're going to talk about a lot of things. I wasn't on the show yesterday, obviously.
Yeah, and it was funny because the news broke about maybe 45 minutes before the show. So we talked about for the first half about the Islanders and where things are going. And as soon as Doug Waite was fired, and as soon as or both of them relieved of their duties, they're still going to be with the organization. I immediately said, okay, the two leading candidates, unless there's something unforeseen like Barry Trotz going there, or as Kevin suggested. And this is the thing. Lou has a history of hiring veteran coaches, but he also has a history of hiring young coaches. He's hired Brent Sutter as well.
Yeah.
The first two names that popped up in my head, and I tweeted it out, were DJ Smith and Sheldon Keefe. Now, Sheldon Keefe has long had a relationship with Kyle Dubas, and if the Marlies win the Calder Cup, I'm not sure if he'll stay there, but there may be, and we know that the tree of Babcock assistants who have become NHL head coaches, going from Todd McClellan to Bill Peters to Paul McLean, a long line, that maybe Keefe, maybe Keefe would move up as an NHL assistant because there's nothing else for him to learn, but that they do love the way he develops their young players. So that's a possibility. But DJ Smith, he's won a Memorial Cup. He's an former Islander draft pick. It makes a lot of sense. And Babcock had talked him up when he won. The NHLPA did a poll in March of assistants that should be head coaches, and DJ Smith was the leading guy. So and when you reported it, I said, this makes total sense.
Yeah. And I was given it as like, so this is in this day and age of Twitter, like breaking something is virtually impossible. And, but rumors are still rumors. And that's what I like. So that's why I really don't focus on breaking things as much as I used to. But once in a while, when you're talking to somebody about something else, this person's like, yeah, I just got off the phone with a good buddy. And I can't say who that is, but a good buddy that's a mutual friend of mine and of DJ Smith. And he says, yeah, he says, I've known since yesterday that this guy says, yeah, I know since yesterday that Garth and we're going to be fired today. And I'm like, well, thanks for letting me know yesterday. I appreciate it. But he's like, yeah, that's all right. He's like, but he's like, yeah, and DJ's going to be the next coach. And I'm like, and at that point, I was like running like crazy. As you guys know, I was like, I wasn't able to do the show because of family stuff. And I'm like, I'm at a doctor's office. I'm doing all kinds of stuff. And I don't even know if it's on the internet or not. Like by that point, like I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is definitely on the internet already. So I just put it.
I think, and I'm not saying this to boast. I think I was the only, because after you reported it, I did a search. I think I was the only person who put out DJ Smith as a connection.
Yeah.
But it wasn't because I was told from anybody. It's just, I mean, basic common sense regarding where he was and the reputations of Smith and Keefe as potential head coaches.
Right. Now the official word, of course, is that there's
going to be a search.
There's going to be a search, right? I'm not saying
safe thing in case someone does shake loose.
Yeah, and right, and so this, but I do believe that it's going to be DJ Smith. From talking further, and I went back and
doesn't get attacked by a bird, although that would make good.
That's right. It would make good TV. Yesterday I got the Canadian geese, those lazy birds. Yeah. So
and they should go back to Canada. Why do they summer here?
Once you stop migrating, that's like the equivalent of stop trying. You know what I mean? Like in my opinion, if you're a bird, if you're not migrating,
you think
you're living on your parents' couch,
You think they'd go back because everything is 20% more, 20% cheaper?
Yeah, but look, Alex Trebek came here and he never left. So whatever.
That's a good point. If they were American geese,
what is a bad joke?
Anyway, we got to get out of this rat hole. Sorry, get out of the bird hole here. All right, so yes, I do think it's going to be DJ Smith and the Fresh Prince of Piscataway, as I call it. But that's my title for the show. Yeah, I do think that that this, and you got to get a picture of DJ and Lou and just put that underneath. It's perfect. Yeah, so we're gonna see. We're gonna see something good. I think he's a great coach too. Some people, it was funny. We had somebody on Twitter that was going back and forth with you and I, Mike, and he was like, Lou's like tearing apart what he put together here. And the reality is, like, assistant coaches are every team knows that assistant coaches are free to go, and they want them to succeed as head coaches if they have the opportunity. That's not like,
and the Leafs would not stop DJ Smith from going. I mean, I don't know what his contract status is, but like I said, Mike Babcock went out of the way to espouse the virtues of DJ Smith as a head coaching candidate. And like I said, Babcock has done that for many of his assistants.
That's why he's that's why people want to work for him too.
Right.
You're going to work for Mike Babcock. You're not going to get the job. You're not going to take Babcock's job at any point. Like a lot of assistant coaches, rise up and overthrow their head coaches, but that's not the case with Babcock. So
I've heard Mike Babcock do that for waiters too, going from a waiter to a head waiter's job. He's really a good guy that way.
No, he's a good guy. So
I'm bucking for Maitre D. Come on. But yeah. So
he coached. Is it true that he coached Tavares in junior? Someone put that out.
No, he did not.
Oh.
And then that was the thing that the person who was going back and forth with us was making insinuations that the DJ Smith was the reason why,
right.
Or that it might be an inroad into Tavares. In fact, I really believe this decreases the chances of Tavares re-signing simply because. Okay, he liked Doug Waite. He got along with Doug Waite. Now, maybe I'm weighing that too much, but I don't think DJ Smith is a plus or minus in terms of Tavares. And right now, Lou has about 3 weeks before July 1st to make some sort of impact move. He can promise anything he wants to John Tavares. I'm going to go out and get a goaltender. I'm going to get you a star winger. Until he shows it, why the hell would I believe him? Why the hell would I even buy into it?
Well, he came out and said that none of these. He said about Garth and Doug Waite that none of these decisions had anything to do. Lou said none of these decisions had anything to do with Tavares. Now, I'm sure that that's the case, but. At the same time, and I the reason I am a little bit more sure that that's the case is that Doug Waite, John Tavares was a big Doug Waite fan. Like this was somebody that he really did like, and I thought that Doug Waite was going to stick on because of that. I really did. I thought that
one thing is because they're doing a coaching search. If there is a Tavares guy, then Lou will interview him. He'll have the opportunity to do that, and that could have an impact. But right now. There's nobody there, like you said, that's going to sway him for sure. And Lou is going to have a press conference today at 4. I'm sure he's going to kill all expectations, which is what he does. But at the end of the day, we're literally a month from free agency. He's testing free agency.
Yeah, at the absolute this is the thing. At the absolute worst, I think Tavares is doing a Stamkos. He's going to 5 days before. He's going to June 26th, which is 3 days after the draft, which is, I think, a Wednesday. And he's going to that 5-day window when he can listen to other teams and listen to their proposals and, maybe gets a 7-year offer from teams like Vancouver or San Jose or Vegas. Maybe gets a 1-year max offer from a team like Toronto that's got $25 million in cap space. He's going to listen. And then then maybe he goes back and says, okay, I don't like these offers, or if you match this, I'll stay. But I think he's gone too far to not at least listen.
And if you want to play conspiracy theorist, he and Tavares now are under the same agency umbrella.
Right.
I mean, Kovalchuk, sorry. Tavares and Kovalchuk.
I heard that, yeah. Now, also DJ Smith was part of the Wendell Clark and Kenny Young's way back when.
Yep, 1996. Matthew Schneider, DJ Smith, and Wendell Clark went to the Leafs.
Yep,
those great Leaf teams.
Oh yeah, that was the great Leaf team. The great Leaf team that tried to get Wayne Gretzky and said we're not going to pay the money for him.
Yeah, I remember that.
Thank you, Steve Stavro.
Right, there you go. So that's fine. Yeah. So I mean, this is it does make it sound a little bit more like Tavares is going to test free agency, like you guys have said. I
think it's a definite. I don't think he's going to make it to July 1, but I do think he'll make it to the 5-day window. We may, what may happen again is what happened to us a few years ago. I'm driving up the QEW to Toronto, and then all of a sudden we hear 2 trades and Stamkos re-signing in Tampa within the span of 45 minutes, and I almost drove off the road.
No, that was the worst. I
will also give you a dark horse team that I've been hearing a little bit about for Tavares, and that could be the Dallas Stars, and they are in a position to win. And Dallas Stars will have money. They have a great new coach in Jim Montgomery. They've got no personal income tax.
Yeah, that's true.
There's no state tax. No state tax.
No state tax. Like Florida.
Right. So that they could be a quiet leader too.
The one thing with them is Sagan is 1 year away from unrestricted free agency, and if you sign Tavares, you probably are saying goodbye to Sagan.
But they might be okay with that.
Yes, they might be. They may say we're gonna go gangbusters for 1 year, sign Tavares, keep Sagan, let Sagan walk, and say,
Spezza
okay, there you go.
Spezza will get traded. They'll eat some salary. They'll trade Spezza. They'll get something for him or some draft picks.
Right.
Nichushkin will come back. That's another big plus for them. And they'll have a coach that, will be willing to work with them now.
Yeah.
So that's, Dallas can be in good shape if you think about it.
Yeah.
Not that far. I mean, they really do have.
I'm not so.
We got pieces like that. It's a major piece.
I didn't think of it yesterday, but please, everybody tweet to Kevin Allen because they're somebody who I didn't think of yesterday because I just was blank in that moment.
Yeah.
He helped me with San Jose because he knew I knew about San Jose, and it was just like that was just a bad moment.
There's a rumor out there that's kind of crazy. A rumor that's kind of crazy that I'm not even sure if I'm going to write about because I've just heard about it a little bit. But I think more than taking it as a rumor, let's just discuss it as its merits is what it could possibly be. So let's look at it like speculation.
Yeah.
Because I've heard Tavares and the Predators mentioned a bunch of times and recently, and then the thought was, okay, the Preds obviously to do that they're going to need to clear cap space. And the thought process, thought process was Torres and Rene. And now Rene would be a 1 year deal. Obviously he's got 1 year left, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But he comes into the Island and gives them somebody that maybe gives the Islanders a little bit of a respite that they can look around for another year and not have to think about it as much because they would get
I brought up Rene like a week ago and everybody sort of laughed at me like there's no way the Islanders would get Rene.
Yeah, no,
well, it wouldn't cost him one of the first round picks because you're not giving that up for a 37-year-old goaltender with 1 year left in the contract.
I did mention that before, yeah.
Yeah, you did, and I did hear it from somebody yesterday in Nashville that they had heard it, and I've been looking into it more. Haven't been able to get a whole lot of confirmation on it, but it is something that just the speculation of it is interesting, I think.
Well, it would be surprising if that came to fruition if they said, "Okay, UC Saros, here's the number one job," because in my estimation, I think he's a good goalie. I don't think he's a number one.
Right.
And then that puts
same as when they had Nabokov. There's no difference at this point.
Right. Then that puts them in the same. Then it puts them in a position like the Islanders. In fact, in a worse position because they're actually a contender right now. And if you're going into the season with UC Saros,
no, they would probably have another plan.
Yeah, I would assume so.
They would have to be going after something else, but something that but the money would work for them. I think the money is the thing there that Now,
that trades for Steve Mason. Then who knows?
Yeah, right. I don't know what. Something like that. I don't know what Rene has as far as no trade clauses and stuff like that goes.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, but the one thing there though is the fact that it's the long-term money when it comes to Tavares because you're talking 7 years when Tavares signs with somebody other than the Islanders, and if Nashville was to make that kind of deal with Ellis up in a year with Yossi up in 2 years,
right?
That's a lot of money that you're allocating towards Tavares and not towards them, which is why I would say they would probably have to trade a guy like Turris because Turris signed for I think 6 years.
This is bad when Cap Friendly doesn't even know. It says modified, no trade, no move, details unknown.
Okay. Wow. Uh-oh. Are the dogs loose? Who let the dogs out?
The dogs out. I guess they were here. Anyway.
They were here.
They were here a second ago. I just was like curious.
Hot dog.
The only reason I'm concerned is because we have a family of foxes living underneath the hockey rink. So I'm trying to. I have it fenced off so they can't get over there right now. But that
hockey rink looks like Lillehammer, way after the Olympics.
No, it doesn't.
Where's Eddie the Eagle? Well, that was Calgary. That was Calgary.
Shot at the hockey rink. Come on.
We have eagles here. We do have eagles here. Pretty funny.
Come on, shot at the hockey rink. I dare you.
Dan Craig's working on it.
I don't want to get political, but I wanted to bring this up a little bit. This is not political.
Yeah, we mentioned the Eagles yesterday.
No, not the Eagles, but did you get into? Was I sent Kevin a text? I don't know if you talked about it or not, but I said kind of a layup would be the Washington Capitals.
Oh no, I made the joke, but I'm half serious. I think the Washington Capitals will definitely get an invitation to the White House because they have so many Russians on the team.
Well, yeah, there's that part, but it also happens to be in the city, which is the amazing thing to me is that, and not to get political, but just that this is not. I mean, when you see the amount of people that are there in the city, that this is not even being mentioned in a tweet by Donald Trump is pretty astonishing to me. Like this, like saying, because we're not that many blocks from the White House, it really feels like it's surprising. Like, will it get mentioned if they win it? I mean,
they did have a high-ranking official at the game. Didn't Kevin talk about that yesterday? They had like Secretary of Defense or somebody because he's Canadian.
James Mattis was there?
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of surprising that I mean, I'm not expecting Trump to show up at the game because I know that this.
No, but
all right. I'm going to give you the reason. This is sports related, so I will now give you the reason why Donald Trump will never mention the Washington Capitals because Ted Leonsis was a fundraiser for Hillary Clinton, and he helped post it.
Okay, did not realize that. All right, well there you go.
There you go.
But I know there's a lot more. There's a lot of Republicans who own hockey teams. I mean.
Oh yeah, I mean,
definitely. There's that. No,
there's a lot of Republicans who own NFL teams, but they.
I know, and I don't think that has anything to do with it. But I'm just saying that
No. I'm just saying that there's a lot of Republicans who run NFL teams or own NFL teams, and that doesn't stop Trump from destroying that league because they jilted him by not letting him in the league twice. So
yeah, that's a good point too. I think there is that aspect of it.
He's not a Republican. He's basically an anarchist, is what he is.
Right. So let's move on. But I just thought that it'd be interesting to see like the Capitals, what happens with that, because I mean I do think that you'd have to think that if the last president was there, who's more popular in DC among people, because it's just the DC itself is a very, very strong Democratic city.
James Mattis is definitely a hockey fan. When the women won, the U.S. women, he sent a note to the goaltender.
Oh, good. Hey, Peter. So we're joined by Peter Tessier.
Yes,
a late arrival.
We're just speaking for a little
bit. So you figure if he did that, he probably would do something, maybe even be at Game 6 if the Capitals got in there.
Yeah.
So, do you want to bring up? We talked about it at the end of the show yesterday. Do you want to bring up the Trouba rumor from yesterday?
Yeah. So yesterday I read something again. I was running around, so I kind of didn't make it very clear. And Mike was nice enough to send me a text and say that doesn't make any sense, and you were right because of the way I wrote it. But because so JVR's rights are out there, right? And that's something that is definitely being discussed among teams already, and I've been following closely. We've been following the saga that goes on between Carolina and Toronto, which is very much, that they want, Hanifin, Carolina wants to give Falk. JVR's rights have been discussed in those deals as well as other things. Because and now
because his brother plays in Carolina and they need scoring.
And he's just I mean, when you get a guy who scores that many goals and is available, that's something that he's going to make a lot of money. Very attractive player. So and a handsome man at that. But so anyway, so that's
good that you're not ashamed to admit that. That's good.
Yeah. So there's that, and then it felt from what I was talking to people that Trouba's name started coming up again with Toronto for JVR rights and other things. Now, the other things would be way more important than JVR's. Not way more important, but it could be the kind of thing that JVR could be signed, and there could be another if he's signed, another thing is added or whatever. Those typical conditional things. But and it just makes me think like I know Trouba came out and said Peter came out and said he wants to stay in Winnipeg and he's enjoying his time in Winnipeg and because they were having a good run, and he sees us now as a team obviously that he can take several runs with, which he's right about. This is just the first of many possible, I mean, Winnipeg's going to be a cup contender for the next several years. But I always wonder about that when something like that comes out during a run like that. I always kind of question it a little bit. Like it's easy to say that when you're in the middle of that, when you're in the middle of that run, it's easy for a player to sit there and say, I love it here. But Trouba had a long history of not wanting to be there.
I do have breaking news that we didn't bring up yesterday real quick. Austin Matthews is now with the Orr Hockey Group, and
I was going to bring that up.
Now Kyle Dubas is going to have to go one-on-one with Bobby Orr. Good luck with that.
Oh, there you go.
Well, no, actually, I think this is it was funny because I think this is good news. Well, let's talk about the Winnipeg thing. Let's talk about the Winnipeg thing. Then I'll bring that up.
Exciting as changes of agents are to people out there.
But for Toronto, this is big deal. Big deal. But
I'm just kidding around. I'm like, I always think the business of hockey is like one thing. But what do you think, Peter? Is it possible that Trouba still goes?
I think anything's possible. The Jets have a looming cap problem that every team, when you start having success and you bring a lot of young players in, you eventually have to start signing some.
Right.
And depending on market inflation, where the salary cap is and how much you pay, you end up having to deal with these things. So my last blog, I put out sort of, how do you see the roster unfolding? Do you see trades? Give me what your best pitch is. And I sort of put up the replies, the best stuff, and I went through it and looking at numbers. And I see some people playing Trouba, 6 million, 6.8. And I sort of have to wonder, if that's the salary range that he's in, can they make other things work? And you have to consider Hellebuck, you have to consider Morrissey, Wheeler's due after next season, Liney's coming in, then Connor, and then the year after Connor, Myers, and then the year after Connor is Roslovich. So your spoils of riches are that you're taking advantage of these entry-level deals. But you eventually have to deal with the deals. You can't. They don't stay there forever.
Right.
Well,
Trouba's the big ticket. Hang on, Trouba's the big ticket, and if he's going to be your heir to the throne of Byfuglien's salary in place,
right?
You better be damn sure he wants to be there,
right?
And not there because you're willing to overpay him,
right?
So that's the question.
This is the one thing that when I read the rumor and looked at the particulars of it, and look at the defense of Winnipeg, and Peter, tell me if I'm off base here. Right now, does Winnipeg have a bona fide puck rushing, speedy, offensively creative? I mean, we know Byfuglien is an offensive-minded defenseman. He's a horse. We know that Morrissey is really a good all-around defenseman. And Kaya agrees. I'm muting you for a second, Russ.
Mm-hmm.
But to my mind, they don't really have somebody who is like Jake Gardiner, who is a power play quarterback and a puck rusher of a certain level. And if they don't want to pay Trouba $6.5 to $7 million a year, which maybe that's the range that we're talking about, then they might be able to get Gardiner. Gardner's making $4 million this year and then is a free agent, but I don't think would cost as much. I think that's a better fit for them.
They don't, Mike, for all the things that you've said about Jake Gardiner, they have Tyler Myers. Like, they don't need him. Right. They don't need Jake Gardiner if they have Tyler Myers.
And here's the thing. I was just looking up game logs for Trouba. Like, he averages anywhere from 21 to 27 minutes of ice time.
Right.
Hard minutes. Like, he's not playing easy minutes.
Yeah.
No, he's playing hard minutes. He's excelling at them, and he's doing really well.
But
the point, what it comes down to is winning and the likelihood of winning in Winnipeg. And at the salary range that your agent and the team are starting to talk at, are those enough to say you want to be here? So the interesting thing, and I haven't read it yet, was Mike McIntyre, the Winnipeg Free Press, put out an article. He went and had a long chat with Kurt Overhart. It was in the Free Press yesterday. I haven't had a chance to read it, about what's going on. I don't know what's been said. I haven't seen a ton of things retweeted from it, so maybe it was rather benign.
Boilerplate
stuff. But here's the thing. If Trouba's true to his words, and you got to remember, he put this out there and he stood by it. I want top pairing minutes, and I want to be the number one guy and get the minutes. I want my role to succeed, and I want the option to do it. He was given all that.
Yep.
So you were given all that. Either you were blowing smoke or you weren't.
Right. And I agree with you. I mean,
he's also got a bit of a problem there too.
Yeah,
he never thought the Jets were going to actually do it, and now they have.
But the question is here to me is, I mean, what is Jacob Trouba? Like, what really is he? Like I mean, the idea is, when he first came in, he was Drew Doughty. That's what everybody said. He's like the next Drew Doughty is going to be Drew Doughty. He definitely isn't Drew Doughty offensively.
I would never have said he was going to be.
No.
But no, I mean, people thought he could develop into that. So, so now, in 17 games this year, he's 2 goals and 1 assist in 17 playoff games. I mean, he's got 3 points, and that's a stay-at-home defense. Those are stay-at-home defenseman numbers,
But he's not a stay-at-home though. He's really not. But
and I'm not saying he is this guy, but I think he is closer to Shea Weber than he is Drew Doughty. He's a tough
in between those two.
Yeah, tough, defensively responsible. He hits.
Yep.
He can eat minutes, but I don't think he's going to be a point guy in your power play. That's why I think
that's not a 6.5. But I mean, Shea Weber, he's not Shea Weber to the point where he's going to get.
No, he doesn't have the howitzer that Shea Weber does, and he's not a point.
He's a 2. He's a 2 in this league, which is
yes. I agree.
Is that something that Winnipeg's going to want to put $6.5 million into? Like, that's
because I think eventually they'll lose Bufflin's contract, and Morrissey will be the 1, and he'll be the 2, and that's the way it'll go.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if you're trying to build this team and you believe in the pillars of a team and foundations, and remember where Kevin Cheveldayoff cut his teeth in the Chicago organization,
right?
You're going to look at your Trouba and Morrissey as your 1-2, your Keith and Seabrook. The key is how do you not get into the problems that Chicago had?
Yeah.
So, like, if you're Trouba's agent, you're looking and going, well, look at what Seabrook's making.
Right.
And he's younger, he's better. Well, and if you're Cheveldayoff, you said, well, Seabrook's got 3 cup rings. What's Trouba got? Like, you get all these arguments and things. And it's a back and forth of how you value players. I mean, one of the interesting players that's come out in terms of comparables to Trouba is Brett Pesce.
Yeah, he's making $4 million, and that's
but is that your benchmark then?
Well, I mean, to me, I think
is Yossi your benchmark?
Yossi, come on, Yossi's on the second worst contract in the NHL compared to John Tavares. He's making less than 5.
No, I'm just saying. Yeah. So there's people who are telling me that Trouba at $6 million is nuts, and then there's people thinking it's not nuts. You have to factor in inflation. You have to factor in the fact that what do you think every agent who's now got a negotiated contract for a center in this league is going to say when the GM says, well, Mark Scheifele's only making 6.12, they're going to say, well, his agent was terrible.
Right. And Ryan Johansson's making 8. Now
Ryan Johansson is the deal that has skewered everything, because remember when that happened, there was no way Draisaitl was taking less than 8.
Right.
Well, and then see, this is the lesson. This is the lesson that Toronto, and I'm just touching. This is the lesson Toronto is going to learn regarding Matthews. Matthews is going to be the last one of these big, the young core guys to get signed, because after seeing what Edmonton did with McDavid, signing him for 12.5, and then they had to pay Draisaitl 8.5. They'll sign Nylander first, then Marner, then Matthews. They'll save the best and the most expensive for last.
The thing about Johansson, before everybody wants to rip on him, at 25 he had 54 points, 14 even strength goals. It's a pretty good season.
Oh no,
13.
It's okay, but it's not an $8 million season.
But you know what? But he is a big centerman.
Yeah. They gave up Seth Jones for him, so they had to pay him. That's
he's going to have better years from that. I think he is.
But okay, so Mike, I agree with you, and Russ, I agree with you too. The point is that that's out of all the contracts Poyle has on that team that he's responsible for. Yeah. That's hands down the worst one.
No, I think the worst.
It's not even close.
I think the worst. I think the worst one might be after 1 year. Might be Kyle Turris, because Kyle Turris didn't.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Turris. Sorry,
but one thing about Trouba, and this is something we'll have to watch during the summer here, is that he's an RFA, so they
Yeah.
qualify him, so they'll retain his rights. I don't think it's a pipe dream to think anybody's gonna offer sheet him, because that doesn't happen anymore. But what is going to be interesting is to see if he waits until John Carlson signs his new deal, either with Washington or somebody else. And I know that they're not the same defenseman. When the escalating of the money in the league continues, and Shattenkirk makes almost 7, and I think Carlson's going to make 7.5. Trouba's going to go to the Jets and say, "Okay, I'll take 6.5," and they'll say, "Are you nuts?" That's what I'm saying. I think it's going to be a battle over money. I mean, he wants to stay, but he wants to get paid too. And if Overhart asks for too much, then I think you're right back to where you were, in the sense that, okay, now we can't pay him, so now we may have to trade him.
So let's say that happens. Here's the variable, and Kevin Cheveldae talked about this a couple weeks ago, when he said, don't be surprised and don't take it as concern if the arbitration process is used with some of our RFAs. And he's done that before. And in the summer of 2013, Wheeler, Little, and Bogosian and the Jets all were set for arbitration. All 3 contracts were done before that. So it's just a process to get people to come together, right? The difference with Trouba is you don't want him going to arbitration, taking an award and saying, "See you in 2 years." Right.
If they take,
that's the only difference here.
It's very possible that I mean, I don't know whether it's up to the arbitrator or whether it's up to the team or the agent, whether it's a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal. But if all of a sudden a 2-year deal comes out of it, sayonara, bye-bye. He's gone after the 2 years.
And maybe then, but there's other sides to this too. So maybe that's not the worst case scenario for the Jets, because you have 2 years to trade him, but you got 2 years of guaranteed salary, probably less than what the next contract's going to be. But it probably closes your window on who you can trade him to, because they're going to want to know, is he going to sign there? The other interesting thing is, if he's saying no to Winnipeg, where else would he say no to? It doesn't mean he'd say yes to Toronto.
Yeah.
He may want to go to a U.S. team. He may
want to go to a U.S. team, and that's sort of the underlying sort of belief, but it's not confirmed, right? It's all
the long belief has been that he wants to go to Detroit. Like, that's where we've heard most. Like, that's been the, he grew up in that area, that he wants to play for.
But honestly, if you look at Detroit's organization right now, and I'm not trying to insult them, what do they have that Winnipeg wants, other than a top first-round pick in this draft? What do they get? What do they give? I mean, Dylan Larkin, Anthony Mantha. Other than that, I don't see a clause.
It's shuffling the deck chairs,
right?
It's not doing them any favors, and that's one thing we're really seeing, is that GMs aren't trying to pinch someone to take advantage of the other team. They're more so trying to say, I can't just shuffle the deck chairs and expect that my team's going to improve. I have to add, particularly if you're a team like Detroit. So you can go to that wall and get him, but again, you've stuck your finger in this hole and you've pulled it out of that hole.
Yeah, they definitely need to add, because it's right now, their defense is DeKaiser and a couple, their defense is hurting, and they have some prospects coming up in the organization.
Yeah, Chalowski will help that.
Chalowski, exactly. No, Russ, you said something about in the comments, or there was somebody in the comments taking me to task.
Yeah, Adam Ziller, a Sabres fan, still taking you to task about trading Ristolainen.
Yeah, this has been something that's been going on for a couple of days.
Well, I mean, and Adam, I understand your
Mike's not alone on this, obviously. Mike's not the only one.
Yeah, I understand you're balking at this, but I'm only telling you what I've been told by other people, and that is one of the things that Jason Botterill and Phil Housley are bound and determined to do during this offseason is change the culture of the Sabres. Now, they're gonna do house cleaning things like buying out the final year of Matt Molleson's contract. That's just clearing cap space. But what's going on, there's been a losing mentality in this locker room. Ryan O'Reilly talked about it at the end of the year. It's been pervasive in this organization for years. Fans are getting sick of it. People are dumping season tickets, and they want this team to change. Now they have an opportunity here. They got a great young prospect in Dahlin, who they're going to take first overall. Eichel is the real thing. He's a really good young center. They got some pieces, but they have players who have been around through this entire span of losing, and they really need to just, again, this is a team that needs to reshuffle the deck chairs, not get robbed in deals, not give away Ristolainen for nothing, but get value for a guy who's got value. He's under contract for another, I think, 4 years at $5.4 million. There are teams out there that would love Ristolainen, but in Buffalo right now, he's playing a role that he's not suited for. He's not a number one defenseman. He might be a second pairing guy, and maybe in a year, Dahlin is ready to play 25 minutes a night. They're not going to rush him into that, but I think that
they will. I think.
Yeah, I think
Bandits tickets are around $13 a game, and you could wear your Tavares jersey. Go ahead, Mike.
I definitely think that they will.
Yeah, that's not happening. Yeah,
but I mean, we had Garth on here.
I see people with Tavares jerseys, Mike. That is happening. It's just with the Bandits.
You saw them as they were going someplace to buy a carton of Marlboros.
We did have Garth on here the other day, who covers Buffalo. Really is right there. And I've always trusted the Buffalo Rumors. He's always been very good with them. And he agreed with Mike. He said, that they're definitely looking. So it's not.
It's not a foregone conclusion. It's not a definite. I mean, there's the possibility of them trading O'Reilly. I mean, O'Reilly made comments at the end of the year that weren't exactly complimentary to the Sabres organization. But I'll tell you right now, good luck trying to get full value for Ryan O'Reilly at $7.5 million for another, I think, 6 years. You have a much better, much easier time getting equal or close to equal value for Ristolainen. You might be able to get, that rumor from Edmonton that came out last month. If you're talking about Oscar Klefbom and the number 10 overall pick for Ristolainen, if I'm Botterill, I call Peter Chiarelli and say, done deal now.
Yeah, and I'll even give you a fifth just to make sure
you have something to report on. No, you're right about that, Peter. Here's the other thing, though. Vegas could take Ryan O'Reilly and really use him, actually. That's a player they could use because they are sort of weak up the middle with guys who could really put
I don't know. Watching them play live, I don't think he's fast enough to play with them.
So here's another thing. I don't know if you guys have seen what's coming out of Vancouver. There's a ton of smoke around O'Reilly's name out of Vancouver.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah,
for sure.
and
they're very much pushing for Hanifin too. They're in Vancouver.
Yeah,
Hanifin,
but
is way stronger than it is in Toronto.
But
right?
the funny thing is, I did a radio hit on Sportsnet in Vancouver on Friday, and they had a number of guests that I was listening to beforehand, and essentially, the fans don't want Hanifin if it costs the number 7 pick. And I talked to Russ about this on the weekend. There are 3 defensemen in the first round of this draft who are as good offensively as Noah Hanifin that they could take at number 7. And I honestly, I understand the market of the Vancouver market. They want quick turnarounds. They want this team to be a contender. Stop it. Stop rushing the process. You've got young pieces. You're not going to be a contender even if you slap something together like trading for Ryan O'Reilly and adding this and adding that. Just go through the rebuild for a couple years and build your organization. If you don't, you're going to make stupid mistakes like you've made with Brandon Sutter and other ones in the past and just hurt yourself.
What does Ryan O'Reilly give the Canucks that Bo Horvat doesn't do? That's what I want.
Absolutely nothing.
Right?
Absolutely.
So Horvat's your number 1 center. That's where you are now.
Right.
Accept it and either acquire one and develop one through the draft.
I think Bo Horvat's fine.
Yeah. Don't try and force Ryan O'Reilly into a situation that
wait for Pettersson
any better than he is, right?
Wait for Pettersson. That's what you do. Let Pettersson play in Utica next year. And finish 27th and get another chance at the lottery. Maybe you win Jack Hughes in the lottery. There are better.
One of the executives there is Trevor Linden. Bo Horvat is sort of like that, like a modern day version of that.
Yeah, imagine they luck out Russ and they get Quinn Hughes at 7, which maybe maybe wishful thinking. But if they get Quinn Hughes at 7, and then next year win the lottery and get Jack Hughes, there's your Sedin twins all over again.
Yeah. I mean, I the one thing I said about O'Reilly before, like I don't think he's fast enough for the league, but I was impressed at how well he played at the World Championships with McDavid, like on a line with McDavid as a winger. And that was something that so it kind of struck me, surprisingly so, that I would not have thought that would have worked.
But his value is at center. You can't make him a winger with that salary. It's just not going to help you.
And the main determining factor with O'Reilly and Buffalo is I think what they want to do with Casey Middlestat. If they think Casey Middlestat can step in as a number 2 center at 19 years old, which I would seriously doubt, then maybe they would be open to trading O'Reilly. But I think Middlestat's going to play with the Sabres next year, and he's going to play on the wing, and they're going to slowly ingratiate him to the NHL, and not put the pressure of being a center, the two-way pressure of being a center on him at 19.
I don't know if he can take the pressure. I think
he might be able to, but I don't think they. I don't think O'Reilly's value is going down appreciably if they keep him for another year.
I was right, by the way. Just want to throw this out there because I like to prove when I'm right and you guys are wrong. That Casey Middlestat was the guy who did not do a pull-up at the combine. I did get that from several people.
Oh, Sam Bennett.
Middlestat also did not do a
he couldn't do one. I think he did one.
Yeah, he did one.
I was told he could not do one by people.
No.
We were at that combine. Believe me, we were at that combine.
I'm saying he did one.
We could still be wrong. I'm not going that far, but
yeah.
All right. Well, I need to get more.
Okay.
A couple people. A couple people, in the league backed me up on that right away after the show. So I might, and they could be wrong too. We'd all be wrong. Who knows? Anybody, we could all be wrong. But I just wanted to prove that I was right. That's all that matters.
Actually, he did say he couldn't do a pull up, and I know he only did 1 rep on the bench press. But okay,
yeah,
that is accurate. Okay,
yeah, there you go. So
even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Thanks, Mike. I need that. So I guess that's all the time we have for today. Actually, thanks, Peter, for jumping on. We really appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure.
Thanks
tomorrow.
Wrong. I appreciate it.
Previewing the game, as I wrote yesterday, I still don't think I know I'm probably alone, but I still do not think this Stanley Cup final is over.
I don't think it's over, but I heard Mark Savard say it's just getting started, and he's a little bit off on that.
Yeah, and tomorrow, by the way, we'll have the voice of the Nashville Predators, Pete Weber, on the show.
Excellent,
awesome,
excellent. Yay. Perfect. So so we'll talk about that game tomorrow night for sure. And it's gonna be a good one. I still think this is going 7 games. I've felt that all along. So we'll see. Remember, without the buzz is just hockey. We will talk to you then.